faster than a speeding typewriter, more powerful than a printing press, able to speak over tall buildings in a single sound. Look, up on the dial!
It's a conservative!
It's a liberal! It's Supermouth! Yes, it's Supermouth, strange visitor from the past with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal talk show hosts. Supermouth, who can change the course of local politics, bend ears with his bare mouth, and who, disguised as Mike Wiley, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan radio show, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can change the focus to a soft blur or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the outer limits.
Good morning. This is he, Mike Wiley. Hey, that rhymes. We're in deep shit. Our nation is in deep shit. This is going to be a real short video. I happen to discover some things that are very important to bring out. Okay. One of my key abilities is to see some information and then see some more information and then see some more information. And my brain is able to connect up the dots and say, hey, this doesn't make sense. And so that's why we're doing this October surprise video, because I have the October surprise for you. When I first started this show, I called it America's Court of Public Opinion, because my idea was to present to you information in a court setting to provide you with the facts so that you can come up and make a decision as to what the hell's going on. The October surprise is today. Was Liz Cheney abducted by aliens? That's a question. What date did Kamala Harris become president of the United States? I saw that yesterday and almost had a burn. Number 3, are the 1,000 Trump supporters who are in a D.C. jail for the crime they supposedly committed, which was actually committed by the January 6th subcommittee. Those 11 people, or those 9 people, why are they not in jail versus the 1,000 people? We're going to go over that. That's a big question. And what we're going to do is we're going to move from 3 to 1. So I'm going to start at the bottom here, because that's easy to explain. Okay, in 2002, there was this thing called the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, and it had to do with the Enron scandal, which was, I don't know if the Democrats were committing crimes then. The first recorded crime of Democrats was occurred when they attacked Fort Sumter in 1860, or is it 1861? Now, what happens is they pass this law, and it said obstructing an official proceeding is a felony under U.S. federal law. It was enacted as part of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002 as a reaction to the Enron scandal and closed a legal loophole on who could be charged with evidence tampering by defining the new crime very broadly. It later became known for its use as a charge against defendants associated with the 2021 U.S. Capitol attack. Now, we know that the U.S. Capitol was not attacked, okay, on January 6, 2021. That attack was done by the Democrats. It was run by Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris. And it was done because they said they were trying to obstruct that year's electoral college vote count. Okay? Now, U.S. Code 1512, tampering with a witness. What's the deal with this? The deal is this. They were put in jail based on 1512. C. Whoever corruptly alters, destroys, mutilates, or conceals a record, document, or other object, or attempts to do so with the intent to impair the object's integrity or availability for use in official proceeding. Okay? So, the question is this. This is the law the Democrats used to put 1,000 people away in jail that are still sitting in jail today for not committing a crime. Why are they there? Now, I changed the name of the show from A Court of Public Opinion, plus I then changed it to The World This Week with Mike Wiley. We changed it to Upon Further Review because of this. Okay, what happened? I had read this information. I saw this. But then I saw that the Supreme Court made a ruling, pardon me for coffee. The Supreme Court made a ruling because of a police officer that they were trying to charge that he was involved in the rally and he wasn't. And the Supreme Court said the guy is not guilty. Why? Because the law you're trying to put him in jail for doesn't apply, because it applies only to documents, evidence. The 1,000 people they arrested weren't running around Washington, D.C. with files under their hands, you know, like some Democrats do when they steal shit like Sandy Berger, sticking papers in his socks. Now, wait a minute. So I'm going back and I'm looking at this thing, and I reread something I already read and that I'd already highlighted. The Justice Department has argued that the offense punishing anyone who corruptly obstructs or impedes an official proceeding clearly fits the conduct of the rioters who halted Congress' certification of Biden's 2020 election victory. Biden had not won at that time. Biden only wins after the January 6th process is completed. The January 6th process has never been completed. Joe Biden is not president of the United States. Or should I say, Kamala Harris is not president of the United States. What? Hey, Mike, you've lost your mind this time. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so. But U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols found that the prosecutors stretched the law. Evidently, these were Democrat prosecutors hired to put all these Republicans away. But U.S. District Court Judge Carl Nichols found that prosecutors stretched the law beyond its scope to inappropriately apply it in these cases. Nichols ruled that a defendant must have taken some action with respect to a document, a record, or another object in order to obstruct an official proceeding under the law. The lying scum Democrats, who have been lying scum Democrats since 1861, are at it again. Wait a minute here. Wait wait a minute. They're going, wait a minute, how come the Republican is following the law and the Democrats aren't? Really? Why are Democrats following the law and why are Republicans following the law and Democrats aren't? Why? Because that's the way they play. The Justice Department appealed and said, hey, Nichols' interpretation of the law was too limited. Now, of course, Biden being illegally elected and therefore isn't really the president of the United States, he appointed this Peter Pan, Judge Florence Pan, to be the appeals in D.C. And in her appeals court ruling, Judge Florence Pan noted that Nichols, the evil appointee of Trump, the evil Trump, was the only lower court judge overseeing January 6 cases to rule that way. Every other judge who considered it said that it was correctly used. In other words, the Democrats said, no, we read the rule this way because then we can use it illegally to put 1,000 people away because we're passing on this bullshit about a coup d'etat, whatever the hell you want to call it, insurrection, on January 6th. It's all a scam. Remember, everything is a scam with the Democrats. And we're going through it again. Okay, we're only like about, 15 days away from another election fraud deal. Okay, and this is where they put millions of illegal immigrants who can't vote. They can't vote. There's a law against it. And that law has already been on the books for years. And but the Democrats always ignore laws they don't like. So I'm seeing this, and it hits me, holy shit, upon further review, that the Republican judge understood that. And then the Supreme Court ruled that the Republican judge was right, and the Democrats were wrong. So how many of the 1,000 Trump supporters who were in jail illegally, how many have been released? None to date. None to date. Hey, Steve Bannon gets out today. Oh, no. Steve Bannon got out last week. No, Steve Bannon wasn't let out yet. Why? Why are they keeping him in jail longer? Because they know they want to make sure he doesn't open his mouth before the election ends. Okay, this is the shit that brings us to a conclusion that we've covered on the shows and we're going to continue to cover because this shit ain't over with yet. Now, so it turns out the January 6th subcommittee violated this law. Mike, how did they violate the law? Well, evidently, when they came to get all the evidence that they had reviewed, it was gone. Aliens from outer space. When they picked up Liz Cheney, they picked up the documents. The Democrats didn't destroy these documents. They were stolen by aliens along with Liz Cheney. Why was Liz Cheney abducted by aliens? What's the proof of it? This video is going to show you what Liz Cheney said about Donald Trump and about Kamala Harris before she was abducted by aliens. And then we're going to show you what she said after she was abducted by aliens. And you have to ask yourself, was she abducted by aliens or is she just full of shit? Liz Cheney's full of shit. And that's why she's going around with Kamala.
First of all, what's the feeling right now? Are you feeling pretty good going into next week?
I feel very good about where we are. Look forward very much to getting through the primary and then asking for everybody's vote again in the general election. And We have a huge amount of work to do, both in terms of making sure that we get President Trump reelected, making sure that we keep the Senate. One of the things that has been so important for us here in Wyoming has been the deregulation that's gone on during the Trump administration, and the support for our fossil fuels, the support for our ag industry. And we've got to make sure that that continues. We've got to make sure that we continue to have leaders who understand that the fundamental decisions about land use and about our energy industry and about grazing, that those decisions are best made locally. In one fell swoop here, he has put somebody on the ticket whose voting record in the Senate is to the left of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. So I think that, the American people are going to look at the substance of this. They're going to look at what she stood for in the past. They're going to look at what she said during the primary election. And it's very clear. She is a radical liberal. She's somebody that has said we ought to spend $32 trillion on Medicare for all. If you look at her record as well in California, she did, in fact, essentially ban gun sales with executive action. And she threatened during the primaries to do the same thing if she's elected, if she were elected here. So I do think the American people are going to take a look at this record and realize she is very much a radical.
The invaders. Alien beings from a dying planet. Their destination, the Earth. Their purpose, to make it their world.
So a number of people asked me to ask this question, so do you want to make news? Would you like to announce who you're endorsing in 2024?
Because we're here in North Carolina, I think it is crucially important for people to recognize not only is what I've just said about the danger that Trump poses something that should prevent people from voting for him, but I don't believe that we have the luxury of writing in candidates' names, particularly in swing states. And as a conservative, as someone who believes in and cares about the Constitution, I have thought deeply about this. And because of the danger that Donald Trump poses, not only am I not voting for Donald Trump, but I will be voting for Kamala Harris in this election.
Question number 2. What date did Kamala become president? This one really threw me for a loop because I never caught it. I never saw it. But you may recall that right after the January 6th supposed insurrection, or what could be called an erection, someone's trying to shove it up our ass. As I was going through this, I came across Kamala Harris's speech. And the speech was made, I don't have the exact date of the speech, but Kamala Harris is standing there in the rotunda, and Biden is like 3 feet to her right, and he's got a mask on. He's not saying anything. The question is, why was she giving the speech? Was she really the president of the United States?
Fellow Americans, good morning. Certain dates echo throughout history, including dates that instantly remind all who have lived through them where they were and what they were doing when our democracy came under assault. Dates that occupy not only a place on our calendars, but a place in our collective memory. December 7th, 1941, September 11th, 2001, and January 6th, 2021.
So Kamala did the speech, and she compared January 6th, where only one person was killed. One person was killed. I know they try to say more, but they're full of shit. Why do you think they had to get rid of the January 6th evidence they reviewed? Because the January 6th evidence proved that the January 6th committee was full of shit. They were all full of shit. They're continually full of shit. And we as a nation can no longer put up with it. And what's going to come out in about 2 weeks, whether Trump wins or loses, and right now I'm betting that Trump is going to be overwhelmingly losing to 2 million to 3 million illegal aliens getting their votes in, because that's what the Democrats wanted. That's Kamala's plan. Kamala Harris has been president of the United States since January 21st, 2021. Not Joe Biden. Okay? Joe Biden's got a mental issue. And they knew about that mental issue a long time ago. And it goes back to basically in 2015, he began having issues with his mentality. More of it came out when they did the investigation with a special prosecutor. And then they says, well, yeah, he took all the stuff he shouldn't have taken, but we're going to go after Trump for it. Or no, we can't go after Trump for it because Trump was president. Biden wasn't when he stole the stuff. But there's this article in the Wall Street Journal, August 11th, 2020. Harris picked as Biden's running mate. And you're going to see that in the video. The exact thing. Where Biden was told he had to pick somebody who was a female, okay, who was a minority, and who had a mental brain disorder. In other words, they're dumber than shit. There's only one person that qualified for that, and that was Kamala. They told him he had to pick Kamala. Why did they tell him he had to pick Kamala?
The Wall Street Journal editorial board put this piece out this morning, looking at her record. The Democrats choose Harris, they write. Biden bows to the party's requirements with the California senator. In choosing Harris as his running mate on Tuesday, Joe Biden checked the essential boxes his party had demanded. A woman, a minority, and a progressive who has moved left as the Democratic Party has. We'll see how the California senator plays in the swing state suburbs that Mr. Biden needs to defeat President Trump.
What were the Democrats planning? Did the Democrats know that at some point in time during during Biden's presidency, fake presidency, that he was going to have to be replaced? And so all this shit we saw where the Democrats just violated the law, they violated the democracy, and pulled this shit off. And that's why Kamala Harris was making this speech about January 6th and not Biden. Biden was the president of the United States, or did we just think he was president of the United States? The Democrats, a.k.a. Obama and the law firm that controls the Democratic Party, Perkins Coie, made the decision that Kamala should be president. And so all this other shit now falls back and makes sense to what they did and why they did it. And the Wall Street Journal clearly says that the Democratic Party told Biden who he had to pick. They didn't say a name. They just said she's going to be this, she's going to be that, she's going to be that, and she's going to be a she. And all those things pointed to only one person, Kamala Harris. So Kamala Harris makes this speech. And she compares the disaster of January 6th, where only one person was actually killed, and that was a white woman who was a veteran who was shot by a black police officer who was not arrested for shooting an unarmed person. He gets a pass. She compares it to December 7th when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor and 2,400 Americans were killed. One dead, 2,400. How does that compare? How does that compare? Then she compared it to September 11th, when we were attacked by Islamic pilots, thanks to the Clintons and the FBI forgetting about the attack they knew in 1993 was going to happen. 3,000 dead. 1 dead, 3,000 dead. Yeah, that. Evidently, Kamala is not a math genius. And then, of course, there's the China virus. You know, the virus they used to be able to come up with the fraud for the illegal ballot production that was illegal, was not constitutional, but the Democrats are passing it off anyways. And that was the reason for January 6th, because all that shit was going to get thrown out unless the Democrats could figure out a way to prevent January 6th from happening. So the Democrats actually obstructed an illegal proceeding, but they wanted to blame it on Trump. Trump wanted it to occur. Trump was going to have his presidency saved. There were 6 senators who had signed off on 6 complaints from 6 Republican congresspeople on the facts that Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin had illegally made changes to their election process so that fake mail-in ballots, the signatures really didn't matter. Which made no sense at all, but that's what they were trying to pass on. And that's how they stole the election. And one day, either God's going to strike them dead or we are. Because I don't think we can take much more of this bullshit. And we're getting ready to watch some more. It's coming. It's coming. So I was just doing my job, looking for stuff. And I came across the videos of Liz Cheney for things she said before she was abducted by aliens and then after abducted by aliens. Okay? We've got the information on Kamala. She was assigned to be the president. That's why she gave the January 6th speech and not Biden. They knew Biden was a mental case. He should have never been put on the ballot to run for office. But they didn't care because Biden wasn't going to be president. Kamala was going to be president. And what a coincidence. Kamala's the one that's running for re-election, not Joe Biden.
Oh, that was a coincidence, Mike, wasn't it? They would never have planned that shit. Huh?
And of course, we still have 1,000 Trump supporters sitting in jail for 4 years now? There are people in jail for 4 years for not committing a crime. But they're not in the United States, they're in the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia is not part of the United States. There's no way that 3 people from that area should be allowed to be in the Congress of the United States, and they shouldn't be allowing people from territories to be sitting in Congress, and they don't get a vote, but they get to open up their freaking mouths and say whatever spew bullshit they're told to do. Enough is enough. We're done. This is it. Okay? The Democrats have 15 days to correct this problem. And if they try to pull this shit we know before, I'm going to tell you, the 30 mill's coming right out of the closet. It's going to be over. That's the reason why these people made that movie Civil War, so we don't go,
oh, we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, we do. The British gave us shit, and they got it. And the Democrats have been giving us shit for about 200 some odd years. They're going to get it. I love you. Bye.